Why do some people seem to attract success effortlessly, while others struggle for years despite working just as hard? The answer may not be in the world around you, but in a hidden force within you. There is a power within you that is always working. It does not sleep. It does not argue. It simply accepts the impressions you give it and faithfully brings them into expression. Many people long for success, prosperity, and recognition. They pray for advancement, they strive for achievement, and yet they feel as though something unseen is holding them back. What they often fail to see is that the real obstacle is not in the outer world, but in the thoughts and beliefs they quietly entertain within themselves. Your subconscious mind is like fertile soil. Whatever you plant in it, fear or confidence, doubt or faith, it will grow and multiply. If you repeatedly dwell on limitation, delay, or disappointment, you're unknowingly directing this deeper intelligence to reproduce those very conditions in your experience. The subconscious mind is the book of life. Every belief you accept and every mental image you sustain becomes an entry in this invisible record. What is written inwardly is sooner or later expressed outwardly as the events, circumstances, and opportunities of your life. This is not punishment, nor is it chance. It is law, the law of mind in action. Success is not being denied to you. More often, it is quietly resisted through an inner acceptance of failure or limitation. When you learn to change the patterns of thought you impress upon your subconscious, you begin to redirect the course of your life itself. Within you is a miracle-working power, a silent intelligence that fashions your body and sustains every function of your being. It knows how to heal, how to restore, how to guide, and how to prosper. Yet it moves according to the impressions you give it through your thoughts and feelings. Your habitual thinking gradually becomes the pattern of your destiny. Day by day, you're building mental images of success or failure, harmony or confusion, abundance or limitation. These images sink into the deeper levels of mind where they are accepted as instructions. The subconscious does not argue with your conclusions. It does not ask whether an idea is wise or unwise. It accepts what you feel to be true and begins to act upon it with quiet persistence. In this way, you're continually writing upon the inner book of life. Every expectation you hold, every belief you nurture, and every emotional reaction you sustain becomes part of this invisible record. Sooner or later, it is expressed in the circumstances and events you encounter. Thoughts charged with feeling possess creative power. They influence your decisions, shape your perception, and determine the direction in which your life unfolds. What you impress within yourself tends to manifest in form and experience. For this reason, success cannot be separated from the state of consciousness from which you live. If you inwardly accept struggle as inevitable, you will often find yourself meeting resistance at every step. But when you begin to feel that success is natural and rightful, a new confidence arises. Your mind becomes clearer, your actions more decisive, and opportunities seem to appear where none were noticed before. To attract success is to cooperate with this deeper intelligence. It is to plant thoughts of harmony, prosperity, and achievement in the fertile soil of the subconscious. As these seeds take root, they grow into conditions and experiences that reflect the inner transformation. Thus, the direction of your life changes quietly, yet powerfully, not by force, but by the steady operation of spiritual law. While you're awake, your conscious mind selects judges and reasons. But when the senses grow quiet and you surrender to sleep, the deeper mind continues its ceaseless activity. It does not pause in its creative function. It is always at work, faithfully responding to the impressions you have given it. Through the silent hours of the night, this inner intelligence moves according to the law impressed upon it. It brings order where there has been confusion, guidance where there has been uncertainty, and renewal where there has been strain. What you dwell upon during the day becomes the material upon which it works while you sleep. For this reason, the state of mind with which you end your day is of great significance. Thoughts accepted just before sleep sink more deeply into the subconscious and are received with less resistance. In this receptive condition, ideas become living convictions, and convictions gradually shape experience. If you fall asleep, Burdened by fear, resentment, or anxious expectation, these impressions continue their silent activity. They influence your reactions, cloud your perception, and disturb the harmony of your mind. But if you enter sleep with a spirit of confidence, peace, and expectancy of good, the deeper power within you begins to arrange circumstances in accordance with these higher patterns. There is within you a wisdom that is always seeking to preserve life, restore balance, and lead you toward fulfillment. It responds to faith more readily than to force, and to calm assurance more powerfully than to restless striving. The wise individual, therefore, learns to give constructive suggestions to the subconscious before sleep. He imagines the desired result as already accomplished. He feels gratitude for blessings that are on their way in doing so. He plants seeds in the garden of the mind that must, in due season, bring forth a corresponding harvest. Night after night, these impressions accumulate. Gradually, they form a new pattern of expectation, a quiet inner certainty that success is unfolding according to spiritual law. As this certainty deepens, outer conditions begin to change, and opportunities appear in ways that often seem unexpected. Thus, even in moments of rest, the creative power within you is preparing the path. Before you, sleep becomes not merely a period of inactivity, but a sacred interval in which the deeper intelligence is shaping the experiences of tomorrow. You are not living in a limited universe. You are living in the midst of infinite possibilities. Within you is a vast storehouse of wisdom, power, and creative energy waiting to be consciously directed. There is an intelligence within you that knows how to grow a seed into a tree, how to restore balance in the body, and how to guide you toward right action. This deeper mind is not separate from the universal forces of life. It is an expression of the same infinite intelligence that governs all natural law. Your mind may be likened to a garden. Throughout the day, you are planting seeds in this garden through your thoughts, beliefs, and emotional reactions. Some seeds are constructive, thoughts of peace, confidence, prosperity, and success. Others are destructive, thoughts of fear, resentment, doubt, and limitation. The soil does not question the seed. It simply accepts what is planted and brings forth a harvest according to the nature of what it has received. In the same way, the subconscious mind faithfully expresses the dominant impressions impressed upon it. This is why the outer conditions of life cannot be separated from the inner activity of thought and imagination. What you consistently picture and feel to be true becomes the mold through which creative forces flow into visible experience. Your inner world is the cause, the outer world is the effect. Many people attempt to change their circumstances by working only on the surface of life. They struggle with conditions, resist situations, and blame external factors for their difficulties. Yet lasting transformation begins when the cause is addressed, when the patterns of thinking and feeling within are consciously directed toward harmony and success. You are, in truth, surrounded by infinite riches. The deeper mind is connected to an inexhaustible source of ideas, guidance, and opportunity. When you learn to cooperate with this inner power, new pathways begin to reveal themselves, solutions appear, confidence grows, progress becomes natural and steady. To recognize this treasure house within you is to awaken to a new understanding of life. You begin to see that success is not merely something to be pursued through struggle. It is something to be realized inwardly, a state of consciousness to be cultivated and sustained. As you plant thoughts of harmony, prosperity, and achievement in the garden of your mind, you set in motion a law that cannot fail. In due season, these seeds must bear fruit. The direction of your life begins to change, not by chance, but by the orderly operation of spiritual law. To understand how success is attracted into your life, it is necessary to understand the two levels of your mind. One level chooses reasons and forms judgments. The other accepts, creates, and brings ideas into expression. Your conscious mind is the thinker. It has the ability to select what it will believe and what it will reject. Through it, you form intentions, make decisions, and direct your attention. It is the gatekeeper of the deeper mind. Your subconscious mind, on the other hand, is the creative medium. It does not argue with your conclusions. It does not question whether an idea is beneficial or limiting. It accepts what you feel to be true and begins to act upon it according to the law impressed upon it. In this way, your conscious thoughts become the seeds that are planted in the fertile soil of the subconscious. If these thoughts are constructive and harmonious, the deeper mind works to produce conditions that correspond with them. If they are filled with fear, doubt, or confusion, the same law brings forth experiences that reflect these inner impressions. Many people experience conflict because they desire success consciously, while expecting failure emotionally. They affirm prosperity with their words, but picture limitation in their imagination. This inner contradiction weakens the creative process and delays the fulfillment of their goals, for the subconscious responds most powerfully to ideas that are accepted with feeling. It is the emotionalized belief that becomes the directive force shaping behavior, perception, and circumstance. When your conscious mind begins to cooperate with the deeper intelligence within, a new harmony is established. You learn to think deliberately, to imagine constructively, and to accept success as a natural outcome of right mental direction. Gradually, this cooperation produces confidence where there was uncertainty, clarity where there was confusion, and progress where there had been delay. Your actions become more purposeful, your reactions more balanced, and your path forward begins to unfold with greater ease. Thus, the understanding of these two levels of mind becomes a turning point in life. It enables you to move from unconscious reaction to conscious creation. Instead of being driven by old patterns and fears, you begin to direct the creative forces within you toward harmony, achievement. The law of reversed effort. Many people believe that success is achieved through strain, tension, and excessive effort. They attempt to force results through willpower alone, pushing themselves mentally and emotionally in the hope that persistence will bring fulfillment. Yet there is a deeper law governing the creative processes of the mind. When the conscious mind struggles anxiously to achieve a desired outcome, it often produces the very opposite effect. Tension creates resistance. Fear of failure strengthens the image of failure. In trying too hard, one may unconsciously affirm the possibility of defeat. This principle may be understood as the law of reverse effort. When desire and imagination are in conflict, imagination tends to prevail. If you desire success, but inwardly picture disappointment, the emotionalized image held in the mind becomes the directive force shaping experience. The deeper intelligence within you responds not to strained effort, but to calm conviction. It is guided more readily by quiet confidence than by restless striving. For this reason, success is often realized when the mind relaxes its anxious grasp and accepts the desired result as natural and attainable. Constructive imagination plays a vital role in this process. When you form a clear mental picture of achievement and sustain it with a sense of ease and expectancy, you align yourself with the creative power of the subconscious. In this state, actions become more fluid, perception more accurate, and opportunities more visible. This does not mean abandoning effort, but rather directing effort from a foundation of inner certainty. Work performed in a spirit of tension and fear tends to exhaust the mind. Work carried out with confidence and clarity becomes purposeful and effective. Thus, the wise individual learns to replace mental strain with disciplined imagination. He cultivates a state of relaxed assurance, trusting the deeper processes of mind to guide him toward fulfillment. In doing so, he discovers that progress often occurs more naturally and more swiftly than when he relied solely upon force of will. Success becomes not the result of inner struggle, but the expression of harmony between thought, feeling, and action. There is within you a life-giving principle that is constantly moving toward growth, restoration, and fulfillment. It is the same unseen power that heals the body after injury, that causes the seed to unfold into living form, and that maintains the delicate balance of every natural process. This deeper intelligence is always seeking to express harmony through you and through the conditions of your life. Health is natural, peace is natural, success is natural. These are not rare gifts granted to a fortunate few, but the normal expression of a mind aligned with constructive truth. Disharmony arises when fear, doubt, and negative expectation are impressed upon the subconscious. When anxious thoughts are repeated and emotionally accepted, they interfere with the orderly movement of creative forces. Confusion replaces clarity. Tension replaces ease. progress seems delayed or obstructed, yet the life principle within you never ceases its effort to restore balance. It continually works to bring you back into alignment with harmony, vitality, and right action. Even when you feel uncertain or discouraged, this deeper intelligence remains active, quietly guiding and sustaining you. Many individuals, however, become so accustomed to thinking in terms of limitation that they resist this natural tendency without realizing it. They anticipate difficulty where opportunity exists. They dwell upon past disappointments and project them into the future. In doing so, they disturb the inner atmosphere in which success might otherwise take root. When you begin to recognize that life itself is oriented toward fulfillment, a profound change takes place in consciousness. You no longer feel compelled to struggle anxiously against circumstances. Instead, you develop a calm assurance that constructive outcomes are possible and even probable. This attitude allows the subconscious to function more freely. Ideas that promote harmony begin to take root. New perceptions emerge. Guidance becomes clearer. Actions become more purposeful and effective. Gradually, the mind regains its natural rhythm. Peace replaces restlessness. Confidence replaces hesitation. You begin to sense that an intelligent order is unfolding through your experiences. To cooperate with this lifeward tendency is to cultivate thoughts that affirm growth, success, and well-being. It is to expect good, to imagine favorable outcomes, and to trust that the deeper processes of mind are working on your behalf. As these constructive impressions accumulate, they form a new inner pattern. This pattern influences your reactions, your decisions, and the opportunities you perceive in daily life. In time, outer conditions begin to reflect the harmony first established within. Thus, success reveals itself not as a forced achievement, but as the natural flowering of a mind aligned with the creative intelligence of life. When you understand this principle, you realize that fulfillment is not something to be anxiously pursued. It is something to be inwardly accepted, cultivated, and allowed to unfold according to spiritual law. Many people sincerely desire success, yet inwardly imagine failure. They speak of achievement, but picture obstacles. They hope for progress, but anticipate disappointment. In this inner conflict lies one of the most common causes of delayed fulfillment. The subconscious mind responds most readily to the ideas that are accepted with feeling and conviction. When desire and imagination move in opposite directions, the image held in the mind tends to prevail. For imagination, when sustained with emotion, becomes the pattern through which creative forces are expressed. If a person repeatedly visualizes difficulty, rejection, or loss, these impressions take root in the deeper levels of consciousness. Even while striving outwardly for success, he may unknowingly be instructing the subconscious to produce the very experiences he wishes to avoid. This is why effort alone does not guarantee results. Action guided by uncertainty often leads to hesitation, misjudgment, or missed opportunity. The mind becomes divided, and the creative process is weakened by contradiction. When imagination is disciplined and directed constructively, a new harmony is established within. You begin to picture the desired outcome as already achieved. You cultivate a feeling of certainty that success is unfolding. Gradually, this inner agreement between desire and mental image strengthens confidence and clarity. In such a state, the subconscious is able to act with greater power and precision. Decisions become more aligned with purpose. Perception becomes more accurate. The path toward fulfillment appears less obstructed and more natural. To resolve the conflict between desire and imagination is therefore essential for attracting success. It requires a willingness to examine the images you habitually entertain and to replace those that promote fear with those that encourage faith. As this transformation occurs, you discover that progress is not merely the result of external effort. It is the expression of an inner unity, a condition in which thought, feeling, and intention move together toward a common aim. When this unity is established, the creative intelligence within you is able to operate without resistance. Success begins to unfold in ways that reflect the constructive vision you have accepted as true. Understanding the laws of the mind is only the beginning. True transformation occurs when these laws are applied with consistency and conviction. The subconscious responds most powerfully to ideas that are clearly imagined, and emotionally accepted. For this reason, the wise individual learns to use deliberate mental methods to direct the creative forces within. One of the most effective approaches is the use of visualization by forming a vivid mental picture of the desired outcome. You provide the subconscious with a blueprint for expression. This image should be held gently, without strain, and accompanied by a feeling of natural expectancy. In time, the deeper mind begins to organize thoughts, actions, and circumstances in accordance with this inner design. Another method involves what may be called the mental movie. Instead of merely wishing for success, you imagine yourself already experiencing it. You see yourself acting with confidence, achieving your goals, and enjoying the results you seek. When this inner scene is repeated with interest and belief, it gradually becomes accepted as reality by the subconscious. Gratitude also plays a significant role in impressing constructive ideas upon the mind. When you give thanks for good that is yet to appear, you establish a mental atmosphere of faith and receptivity. This attitude reduces inner resistance and strengthens the conviction that fulfillment is already in progress. Affirmation is another powerful tool when used correctly. Words spoken with feeling and calm assurance can influence the deeper levels of consciousness. When you quietly repeat statements that affirm harmony, success, and well-being, you plant seeds that will, in due season, bear fruit and experience. It is important that these methods be practiced in a spirit of relaxation rather than force. The subconscious responds to suggestion most readily when the mind is at ease and receptive. Moments of quiet reflection, meditation, or the period just before sleep are especially favorable for this purpose. As constructive impressions are repeated day after day, they accumulate in the subconscious and form new patterns of expectation. These patterns influence perception, behavior, and the opportunities that attract your attention. Gradually, the outer direction of life begins to reflect the inner transformation. Through the disciplined use of imagination, gratitude, and affirmative thought, you learn to cooperate consciously with the creative intelligence within you. Success then becomes not a distant aspiration, but a natural expression of the ideas you have accepted and sustained in the depths of your mind. Prosperity does not begin in the marketplace. It begins in the mind. The outer symbols of wealth are first formed as inner attitudes, as thoughts of possibility, usefulness, and constructive expectation. Money itself is not the true source of supply. It is a representation, a medium through which ideas, effort, and service are expressed in practical form. Behind every material achievement lies an unseen process of mental acceptance and creative direction. When an individual continually entertains thoughts of lack, struggle, or limitation, these impressions shape perception and influence behavior. He may overlook opportunities, hesitate in decisive moments, or undervalue his own abilities. In this way, scarcity becomes not merely an external condition, but an inner pattern that repeats itself in experience. Yet within every person exists a deeper intelligence capable of guiding him toward greater expression and usefulness. This inner power is connected to an inexhaustible source of ideas. It inspires new methods, reveals hidden possibilities, and encourages constructive action when the mind is receptive. To cultivate wealth consciousness is to recognize that supply flows through channels of thought and belief. As the attitude toward prosperity becomes more confident and harmonious, the mind grows more alert to favorable circumstances. Creative solutions appear. New connections are formed. Paths that once seemed closed gradually begin to open. Gratitude plays an essential role in this transformation. When you acknowledge the good already present in your life, however modest it may seem, you establish a mental atmosphere of sufficiency rather than deprivation. This feeling of appreciation reduces fear and strengthens the expectation that further progress is possible. At the same time, prosperity is most enduring when it is balanced by integrity and constructive purpose. Wealth pursued solely for personal gain often produces anxiety and imbalance. But when financial success is aligned with contribution and service, it becomes a means of growth, stability, and wider benefit. The subconscious responds powerfully to ideas accepted with conviction. When thoughts of abundance are repeated calmly and consistently, they form a new inner pattern. This pattern influences decisions, encourages initiative, and gradually attracts conditions that reflect increased opportunity. To think constructively about wealth is not to ignore practical realities. It is to direct your attention toward solutions rather than obstacles, toward usefulness rather than fear. In this way, effort becomes more effective because it is supported by a confident mental foundation. As wealth consciousness develops, a subtle change occurs in the direction of life. You begin to sense that progress is not merely a matter of chance or competition, but the result of cooperating with creative intelligence. Ideas come more readily. Confidence grows more steadily. Circumstances begin to reflect the inner conviction that supply is available and that success is both natural and attainable. Thus, prosperity reveals itself not as a sudden miracle, but as the gradual flowering of a disciplined and constructive state of mind. When the thoughts you cultivate affirm growth, usefulness, and abundance, the experiences you attract tend to express the same qualities. Within you is a source of wisdom that is deeper than conscious reasoning. It is a quiet intelligence that perceives relationships, possibilities, and solutions beyond the reach of ordinary analysis. When you learn to trust and cooperate with this inner guidance, life begins to unfold with greater clarity and purpose. Many people rely exclusively on external information when making decisions. They weigh circumstances, compare opinions, and attempt to calculate outcomes through logic alone. Yet the deeper mind possesses an intuitive capacity that can reveal direction in moments of uncertainty. It draws upon impressions, memories, and subtle perceptions gathered over time and integrates them into sudden insight. This form of guidance often appears as a calm inner knowing. It may come as a clear idea during quiet reflection, as a sense of rightness about a particular course of action, or as an unexpected solution to a problem that once seemed complex. Such experiences are not accidental. They are expressions of the subconscious organizing information and presenting it to awareness in a useful form. Periods of relaxation, meditation, or silent contemplation allow this inner wisdom to emerge more freely. When the conscious mind releases excessive tension and becomes receptive, the deeper processes of thought are able to function with greater effectiveness. In this state, creative ideas arise more naturally, and decisions are made with greater confidence. It is also helpful to approach important questions with a constructive mental attitude. Instead of dwelling on fear or confusion, you may affirm that guidance is available, and that the right solution will become clear. This expectation influences the subconscious and prepares it to respond with insight. Dreams, sudden inspirations, and intuitive impressions are among the ways in which this guidance may be experienced. They can reveal new perspectives, suggest alternative approaches, or strengthen the resolve to act in accordance with your deeper convictions. As you learn to recognize and respect these subtle signals, you begin to develop a more harmonious relationship with your own mind. Decision-making becomes less burdensome. You sense that an intelligent order is operating through your thoughts and experiences. To follow inner guidance does not mean abandoning practical judgment. Rather, it involves integrating intuition with reason, so that action is both inspired and purposeful. In this balance, confidence replaces doubt, and progress becomes more consistent. Over time, trust in this deeper wisdom grows. You begin to feel that you are not navigating life alone, but cooperating with a creative intelligence that is constantly offering direction. Opportunities are recognized more readily. Challenges are approached with greater calm, and the path towards success appears less uncertain and more aligned with your true capacities. Thus, the cultivation of inner guidance becomes an essential aspect of attracting success. By learning to listen inwardly as well as outwardly, you open yourself to insights that can transform both your decisions and your destiny. Fear is one of the greatest obstacles to the free expression of success. It restricts thought, weakens initiative, and disturbs the natural harmony of the mind. When fear is accepted as real and inevitable, it becomes impressed upon the subconscious and begins to shape reactions, decisions, and experiences. Many individuals carry hidden fears without fully recognizing their influence. They fear failure, criticism, loss, or change. These emotional patterns often arise from past disappointments or from beliefs formed through repeated suggestion. Over time, such impressions create mental blocks that interfere with confidence and progress. The subconscious responds to the ideas it receives with feeling and conviction. When fear-filled images are sustained, they tend to produce hesitation, confusion, and avoidance. Opportunities may be overlooked, and effort becomes divided by uncertainty. In this way, the mind itself becomes the barrier to achievement. Freedom from fear begins with the recognition that these patterns are not permanent. They are habits of thought that can be replaced by constructive conviction. When a new mental picture is repeatedly impressed upon the subconscious, it gradually weakens the influence of older. Limiting impressions, courage is strengthened through disciplined attention. By directing your thoughts toward success, harmony, and right action, you create a new inner atmosphere. This atmosphere supports clearer perception and more decisive movement toward your goals. It is also helpful to understand that fear often diminishes when it is faced calmly and constructively. As confidence grows through small successes and positive experiences, the mind becomes less inclined to anticipate difficulty. A new pattern of expectation begins to form, one that favors progress rather than avoidance. The removal of mental blocks requires patience and persistence. Each constructive thought, each act of confidence, and each moment of calm assurance contributes to the transformation of the subconscious pattern. Gradually, tension gives way to ease, and uncertainty is replaced by trust in your own abilities. When fear loses its hold, the creative intelligence within you is able to operate more freely. Ideas flow more naturally. Action becomes more purposeful. Success begins to appear less as a distant possibility and more as a practical reality. Thus, the liberation of the mind from fear is not merely an emotional victory. It is a turning point in the direction of life itself. As mental blocks dissolve, the path toward achievement becomes clearer, and the energies of the mind are directed toward constructive fulfillment. Happiness is not something that depends entirely on outer circumstances. It arises from the way you interpret experience and from the thoughts you habitually entertain. When the mind dwells upon harmony, appreciation, and constructive expectation, a sense of inner well-being begins to develop. Many people postpone happiness, believing that it will come only after certain goals are achieved or conditions are improved. They imagine that success must precede peace of mind. Yet a more effective approach is to cultivate a quiet contentment in the present, trusting that progress is already unfolding. The subconscious responds favorably to a calm and balanced emotional state. When the mind is disturbed by resentment, jealousy, or constant worry, creative energy becomes scattered. But when thoughts are directed toward goodwill, understanding, and confidence, the inner atmosphere becomes more receptive to positive change. Happiness can therefore be understood as a deliberate mental attitude. By choosing to focus on what is constructive and meaningful, you influence both perception and behavior. Decisions are made with greater clarity, relationships become more harmonious, and daily challenges are approached with resilience. This does not mean ignoring difficulties or pretending that problems do not exist. Rather, it involves maintaining a sense of perspective, recognizing that constructive thought and emotional balance contribute to more effective action. Gratitude plays an important role in sustaining this state of mind. When you acknowledge the value of what is already present in your life, you strengthen the expectation that further good is possible. This outlook encourages initiative and fosters a sense of continuity between present effort and future fulfillment. Over time, the habit of constructive thinking forms a stable inner foundation. From this foundation, both happiness and success are more likely to emerge as natural expressions of a balanced consciousness. Thus, happiness is not merely an emotional reward that follows achievement. It is a guiding influence that supports progress and enhances the quality of experience along the way. Success is not always the result of forceful striving or restless pursuit. It often unfolds most effectively when the mind is aligned with constructive belief and quiet confidence, when thoughts, emotions, and intentions move in harmony, the direction of life begins to change in subtle yet powerful ways. Many individuals exhaust themselves by attempting to control every circumstance. They worry about outcomes, compare their progress with others, and fear that opportunity may pass them by. Yet the deeper intelligence within you operates according to principles that are steady and dependable. When you cooperate with these principles, progress becomes more natural and purposeful. Allowing success to unfold does not mean remaining passive or indifferent. It means acting with clarity rather than anxiety, with confidence rather than doubt. When effort is guided by inner assurance, it becomes more focused and more effective. You begin to recognize opportunities that once seemed hidden, and decisions are made with greater ease. Patience plays an important role in this process. Constructive impressions require time to take root and influence the direction of experience. As new patterns of thought are repeated and emotionally accepted, they gradually replace older habits that may have limited progress. Trust in the creative intelligence within you encourages persistence without tension. It allows you to continue moving forward even when results are not immediately visible. In this spirit of calm expectancy, the mind remains receptive to guidance and prepared to act when the right moment appears. Over time, this balanced approach leads to a sense of continuity between inner conviction and outward achievement. Success is no longer perceived as something distant or uncertain. It becomes the natural expression of a disciplined and harmonious state of mind. Thus, the path toward fulfillment is shaped not only by what you do, but by how you think and feel as you act. When constructive ideas are accepted deeply and sustained with confidence, the creative forces within you begin to organize circumstances in accordance with that inner direction. In this way, success unfolds not as a sudden accident, but as the steady realization of principles that have been quietly cultivated within consciousness. By maintaining harmony in thought, clarity in purpose, and trust in the deeper processes of mind, you allow achievement to emerge with greater ease and lasting meaning.